This was my original plan for today's video, but before I actually was going to shoot that footage, I wanted to do some basic maintenance on the 1022 and its magazines because I have about 1,500 to 2,000 rounds on these, and I just wanted to go through and clean them, to keep them nice and reliable. But as I was cracking them open, I was noticing some issues that were slightly problematic that could affect my reliability and my accuracy. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I am Nobody, and we are at the Untrained Unprofessional Workbench this morning because I found some issues doing some basic maintenance on my rifle, and I wanted to show you what was going on and how I plan on taking care of it, and that way if you run across the same issue, you know what to do. So I have 4 Rotary magazines. 3 of them have functioned perfectly fine, since I bought them, which I bought all these at the same time. One came with the rifle, these came as a 3-pack, and I don't know which one is which because I didn't mark it at the time. But these have worked well, whereas this one from the get-go has had a problem sticking. And so I just marked it that it sticks and I set it aside, and I figured, I'll get to it at a later date, and I'm just now addressing the issue. So what is happening? Well, majority of the issues have been that the round gets stuck right here, and that is because of how these feed lips are constructed, or I guess I should say how they're not finished, is that the rough surface of these just kind of acts as a drag and can bind right here on the rim of the case, causing it to get stuck. Here, I guess I should hold it better in view. So the other issue that this magazine is experiencing is that the nose of the round is getting stuck right here at the little feed ramp, and the bolt is not able to overcome, and as you rack the charging handle, you're just smashing that bullet nose into the feed ramp and thereby deforming it, so which you're not going to have a very accurate round if you change the shape of it. So what I think the potential fix is that this has rough surfaces on it from when it was casted. So going through and doing some minor polishing, with some type of abrasive, just to take off some of those rough surfaces to reduce the amount of drag that is being exerted on the brass itself, will help overcome those issues. It's funny, I've been trying to set this up to where it would do it, and so I could show you. And as soon as I stopped recording and I went to eject the dummy rounds, it did it. It got stuck right there. You know how much time I spent trying to duplicate that just for the camera to have it happen afterwards? It's funny. Here's what it does. I push on it and get stuck. I reset, get stuck. The bolt's trying to push, doesn't do anything. And I'm exerting some force on that. Now, in case you're wondering if maybe it's something that I did to cause this, like I took it apart and didn't put it back together correctly, I'll tell you this is the first time I'm taking them apart. So they came like this from the factory. Okay, so from the bottom side, I'm going to go ahead and take that Kratex cone and lightly hit these bearing surfaces right here, just ever so slightly to kind of polish them up a little bit. Going to do that on both sides, and then right where you feed the round through, you're going to be pushing it down and in. I'm going to hit those surfaces as well, and then I'm going to go ahead and here on the feed ramp polish those up a little bit as well. So I'm just trying to smooth out, just in case if there's a somewhat sharp corner right here at the very bottom of the feed ramp. That way the round wants to go up and not get stuck. Alright, so I've been working the polishing right in this area right here, along with to the back, because the case rim is coming back here. So doing that on both sides. And then also right where the round is initially fed in, just to make it a little bit easier for loading. As for the feed ramp, went ahead and polished that area really nice and smooth. Hopefully there is no more corner. Have the magazine put back together. Now I'm just going to check to see how it feels. And I can tell you already that just feeding feels so much nicer. There's a lot less drag. It feels like a lot less effort. Now let's go ahead and try to see what it feels like if the bolt was going to push the round in. Okay, so a lot easier, a lot less sticking, and I think that'll help the reliability of the magazine. As I was examining each magazine, one of the things that I noticed that they all had in common was where the bolt drags along the side of the magazine right there. And I wasn't concerned about that, but it helped draw my eye to this groove that is getting cut into the top of the magazine. Now that is not normal, so it's like you should not have one part of the gun cutting grooves into another part of the system, because that is going to cause your slide velocity, or not your slide velocity, your bolt velocity to slow down, which may cause chambering issues. So I was like, what's causing that? So something I had also noticed with the trigger group is that the ejector had impact marks, and specifically that guy right here. Let's get a better pointer. That guy right there, and that actually has a burr on it from the impacts that I can pick up this ejector with. So I'll have to take care of that. But the ejector is in line with the groove. So whatever's causing that is also causing that. Alright, so as we look at, this specific area of the magazine, this is going to be our indicator of what is causing this issue. Now, as you can see that the magazine, this drops right into this groove here on the bolt. Well, if you look at this and try to figure out, okay, what sharp that is causing that groove, you have to come all the way to the front of the bolt, and let's see if I can do this. The only sharp corner there is right here on the face of the bolt. So taking a small file and just taking off of that corner should stop that problem. That stops the cutting problem. Well, what is the problem overall? Well, if we put our magazine back in, what's going on with my Ruger 1022 is that as the bolt comes back, if this side, which I'm going to call it the right side of the receiver, if that bolt lifts up or pushes down, as you're firing, but in this case, if it lifts up, that's going to change the angle of the bottom of the bolt, and that is what's causing that cut. Now, another thing that you can see is that what's holding this bolt locked back right now? I'm not doing it. Because it is angled up, it is catching on the back of the magazine. And where it is catching is right here on this side of the bolt. So right here on that little, we'll call it an angle. So if you put a chamfer on that side of the bolt face, that should help it clear this area right here, which you can actually see where the impact, see that little mark right there? That's from the bolt hitting. So a little bit of a chamfer will help it glide past that a lot easier. Alright, put a little bit better of a chamfer on that. Hopefully that does the trick. I could always come back to it if I need to, but I am going to stop it right there. Alright, much better. Alright, because I didn't want to put too much of a chamfer on the bolt, I went ahead and put a corresponding chamfer right here on the back of the magazine. Now, no matter what I do, how much I try to push up on it, those two surfaces come together and glide off of each other. So I can be pushing up as much as I want on it and it just doesn't catch at all. I'm going to take this medium Cratex and just hit this bearing surface. Kind of polish my corner a little bit. Again, the point isn't to get this completely smooth, it's just to get it smooth enough to where it glides a little bit better without wearing this down faster. So something else that I noticed that when I was cleaning my magazines is that I was seeing shavings of copper and lead and some brass. You can see the gold color. Some of these shavings were actually quite large, as you can see here on the Q-tip. Wow, that might be kind of bright, but see that little guy right there? I actually had another one that was twice as large of that, and it was copper, and it fell off and I can't find where the heck it is. But that's a little bit of a concern to me because the 22 long rifle is not known to have a high ballistic coefficient as it is, and if you start shaving sections of it off, it is not going to help with accuracy. So where I believe it is shaving is right here on the entrance of the chamber, just coming up to that corner. So I'm going to take a small little stone and put a slight little chamfer in it and then polish it, so that way it doesn't want to cut anything else off. Alright, so a super awkward camera angle here, but I'm going to just do this bottom 25-30% and just give it a little bit of a radius and then polish it up. Alright, I'm going to move the camera and do this because you're in the way. So there we have a small little chamfer to help with the feeding of the rounds. Hopefully that takes care of the shaving of the bullets. Alright, let's see how much resistance there is. Nice, smooth feeding. Alright, so the last issue is just the ejector, which I have a small little burr here, so we're just going to clean that up, make it smooth, smooth off the top, and that's easy peasy. Alright guys, well I'm going to go ahead and continue on with my magazines and finish them up. So in the meantime, I appreciate you watching. I'll see you next time.